mad. Or maybe they forgetting Mr. Universe belongs to Trinidad. And yet we have men of talent and skill, with high hopes of improving still. And if you think all this is a lie, the mighty sniper won't tell you why. Now our steel band is the best talent in this world. Like calypsos or stories are told, with this rhythm to touch your soul. So Trinidad, this lovely land of my book, small but overwhelming in world. And as you know, Carnival is the greatest frolic on earth.
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. I know that you were waiting for this. Well, it's here. But let's hear, of course, that patriotic music again.
Trinidad is my land, and of it I am proud and glad. But I can't understand why some people just talk it bad. But I know all of them we running them out. Don't know where they're talking about. They will paint you black every day, and the right things they will never say. Like our sportsmen being rated among the best. Our scholars have sit and passed every test, and put us right alongside the rest. But then our pitch lake is the greatest one of its kind. Our sugar and oil is really refined. So you see, friends, this is a real King Solomon's mind. They just talk some nonsense. Me ain't know where they're doing it for. About so much violence, man, you would swear that we fighting war. Of course, we have we delinquents to face. But just like any other place, look, the things that I say about here is really too much for me to bear. Because my people are daily making progress without any form of stupidness. And in this way we must gain success. For when we move in, we all move as one body. No bickering between you and me. For our policy stands for racial equality. Now when a stranger spending a little time in this lovely isle, every day you see him, he always have a hearty smile. And when his time is up to depart, he will say with pride in heart, I'll be back, you could bet your life. And if I can't come, I will send my wife. And then he'll tell you, he really wants her to come, to drink some rum and have plenty fun in this great island in the sun. For Trinidadian, as foreigners do we call, it doesn't matter whether big or small, or if you're rich or poor, friends, we cater for one and all. So all of them we're talking, they either drunk or they're steering mad. Or maybe they forget it, Mr. Universe belongs to Trinidad. And yet, we have men of talent and skill, with high hopes of improving still.
Yes, indeed. A pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. Yes, indeed, of course, it has been long. It has been, of course, tedious. It has been a situation that, of course, would have broken the more or most resilient of heart. I understand that, but of course, it was due to circumstances beyond our control. In fact, I want to tell you that I'm only human, and therefore, of course, there were certain things that it was incumbent that I pay attention to, less, of course, the program itself may or would have been in jeopardy. Let me put it that way, not may, would have been in jeopardy. But thank God, of course, He is merciful, He is good. And as a consequence of that, we are here tonight, of course, as promised, even though there were about 2 promises prior that we would be on. Of course, the line is open. The line is open, and I know that the people will be yearning, of course, to capture their first, should I say, opportunity to, of course, express themselves after a not really long, but of course, in terms of the frequency with which this program would have been every night except on a Friday, it could be considered to be a very long time. But of course, the reality is that it is not. It's just about 2 or 3 weeks that I thought was important. Let's go straight to the line one time. Of course, on this, of course, post-Independence Day program. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Welcome back. This is Deacon Martin.
Yes, man. Thank you very much. I anticipated that, but, circumstances is such. But, of course, I'm here. I expected to have my son here with me because we want to change up a little bit. But, we went on the beach today, so we passed your way. And, of course, obviously, he is suffering from the fatigue of being on the beach in the water. Right. But go ahead, my friend.
Okay. We have a lot to talk about. So let me start to wish everyone a belated, safe, when it wasn't so safe, independence, a patriotic day.
Yes.
And let me start there with the unpatriotic PNM. And they celebrated a gentleman who I suspect has gone to the great beyond, but has to pass through the doorway of St. Peter's. And that is a gentleman who was very, very close to the PNM. I don't know if he was an honest Indian. And Sept, I'm going to connect the dots to tell people what that person was like. Typical of PNM supporters. A clone of Johnny O'Halloran. And why I'm saying that? What are the similarities? They were both developers, real estate developers, you know that?
Yes. In fact, what came to my mind in every occasion that name is mentioned is when, of course, being opportunistic and being, of course, malfunctioning as a government. It was, of course, during the late Patrick Manning's era that he wrote off. He caused to write off.
Right. It's right
a
there.
Very large. It's a very large sum from the government bank, the First Citizen Bank. Go ahead. Yes.
Right, and they say he was a silent giant or quiet giant in the PNM. Well, as I said, one of the characteristics was they were both land developers. One took taxpayers' money and built the Twin Towers in Canada, right?
Yes.
The other one took 30 million and built, I think, South Mall. So basically, that is the product of quiet supporters of the PNN. If I get 30 million, I shut them out. Everything I see. I ain't said anything. Why do you think? Well, there's a big debate about the father of the nation, and Mego call him out. Because the father of the so-called father of the nation that PNN want to anoint on Trinidad and Tobago. You know he was the best friend of Eric William O'Halloran?
Yes. In fact, he was protected.
Right.
Allowed to leave the country, etc. Go ahead.
He was the executor of Eric Williams will. He was the one to make sure that Erica got lots of things, because he got lots of things, and Eric knew why he wanted him to be the executive as well. So he had to share it with somebody family and Eric Williams fraternity. So people must connect that. I mean to say a lot of people have seen it, so but I have seen it. I've been observing it for the longest while. Now, the fact that Penny chose the big up state who went away with 30 millions of the taxpayers, and he was basically protected by Manning, just as O'Halloran was protected by Williams. What were they protecting him for? He had to have real information. Now, since we talk about independence, there is a clip going all over the place. And I think patriots of Trinidad and Tobago should listen to it. And it is a clip of Dr. Rudinat Capdale's speech just before the independence conference. 63 years after, we're still attempting to basically do those things. And people must listen to it. I will send it to you if you haven't seen it.
Yes, send it to me, because I don't think I've seen that. I've seen,
right,
in order to prepare for tonight's program, I've done several things, but I don't think specifically what you are referring to, it doesn't ring a bell, so therefore it may not, I may have missed it. So go ahead.
So there are a number of things. They wanted a proper constitution, so people could not really change it, change laws like what Taipans wanted to do, pass laws with simple majority, and when they go to court, they lose. Have independent judges. We have judges who don't know the brother and the sister, file cases in front of them. Remember that one with the MBD?
Yes.
So there is a lot of things. The integrity of public institutions must not be tampered. Everything Capdale asks for, and probably Eric Williams must say yes, we're going to get it. Everything he asked for, then we still want it. So we have not moved anywhere further than what Eric Williams did 63 years ago, and that has to be pinned on the PNM chest. They have done this country a disservice by being in governance so long and have not done anything for us. All right, I'm going to send that.
Yes, thank you very much. I know that you have more to add, but of course the opportunities will come, because we are back up live and running a conference. Don't forget, of course, to make certain that you tell a friend. Don't forget to tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell, of course, all and sundry that the corridor transformation is back from 8 to 9:30. We would work towards, of course, 1 hour, so therefore it will be 8 to 9 ultimately. But because of the time that we have spent aloof of ourselves or of each other, I thought it was important, of course, for the time being, we'll make the appropriate announcement as time expires. But in the meantime, of course, we will, of course, focus on the 8 to 9:30 slot. As I said, I expected my son to be here tonight, but as I said, we went on the beach, and he clearly is suffering from the fatigue, because, you know, young people in water of that nature, having not been there for some time, so you could well imagine he didn't want me to leave, but I had to, because I know that I couldn't further disappoint, of course, the thousands of persons that would have been waiting to make certain. In fact, somebody was have become so skeptical, not sinister, not cynical, but you know, saying, well, I expect a disappointment tonight, and I will be waiting for it. Well, I'm going to tell my friend in San Juan. I'll only say in San Juan, so he know that I am on target. that, of course, here we are tonight, and I'm sure that he is sipping his coffee or whatever drink that he said that he will be having tonight. I'm not going to go further than that, except to say that, of course, we are on tonight, and we are live kicking, and, of course, asking all and sundry, because there will be some programming changes. We will be promoting, for example, social, economic, and cultural issues, but, of course, coming from the bosom of what I consider to be civil society entities. We have had, of course, and they are able to manage their own, let's say, situation. I'm talking about the private sector. So we are hoping that the private sector will now, of course, assist us in promoting those NGOs, CBOs, religious-based organizations, and their respective, of course, programs and initiatives that they are taking, simply because it will be in our and all of us benefit. In other words, it will be a symbiotic relationship, meaning that we will exist for our mutual benefit and for the advancement ultimately of Trinidad and Tobago. That is what those promotions and those initiatives will be focused upon. You see, too often we allow persons and or institutions created by the people themselves from within their respective communities, and by lighting that fire, what one expects ultimately, once things go according to plan, is a conflagration of a peaceful Trinidad and Tobago, a productive Trinidad and Tobago, well, let's say almost totally employed Trinidad and Tobago, persons who aspire for a quality of life and standard of living that is devoid of all of the rigors and the situations that crime and criminality and smartmanism and, of course, poor politics and nepotistic, let's say, projection by those who we would have reposed from time to time our interests and our trust, and disappointed thereafter. So, as somebody I told, I think only last night as well, that of course social media has become the great equalizer. Not just education, but social media has become the great equalizer, and therefore a fundamental promoter of true democracy, government by the people, of the people, and for the people, and indeed a fundamental pillar, a fundamental element of democracy is transparency, accountability, and of course participation, because education and information would be so fluid, will be so all-encompassing, will be so smoothly transferred to the ordinary man, the downtrodden, the person who would not expect that programs like these would be targeting them. They will now, of course, become part and parcel of the decision-making processes, because we need that. You see, failing that, what you will have are those persons, the 12, for example, plus one, I'm talking about Penny and her bunch of what I consider to be opportunistic, still yes, opportunistic, but more importantly, they can be aptly described as obscurantists. Yes, obscurantists. They at every opportunity believe that they can, of course, twist honorable and dedicated and well-meaning initiative for their own political aggrandizement and of course, focused on some kind of elusive a political currency. Yes, elusive political currency. In other words, that doesn't exist, and believing that somehow that will, of course, get them back into office. That and a pink donkey they will not see. But the caller before talked about the whole question of the pearly gates. When these fellas like O'Halloran and, of course, Sept and others, when they reach the pearly gate, meaning the place where they have to account at the doorstep, if you want to call it that, of heaven, they will have to, of course, account for what they would have done. But as I've said, I remembered very distinctly in respect of Lenny Sept, the late Lenny Sept, the whole question of the then Prime Minister, Patrick Manning, writing off, causing to write off, only because they're in government. So that is abuse, only because they're in government. A huge loan that was outstanding and was not being serviced by Lenny Sept and his, of course, business entity or entities. So that is the situation. That is the situation as it stands. But of course, the line is still open. But let's go straight, of course, to some of the issues. That would have been raised. But here we go already. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Lennox. Caller from Library. Happy Independent. If you could say happy.
Same to you.
What caught my attention with your conversation when you say when the PNM must see pigs fly, pink pigs or something. So I had also called you to tell you, well, they have already seen the pink pigs. All of them from behind are pink.
I hear you. So you are pink. Because I was referring to pink donkeys, but if you say pink pigs, I know that
okay.
that
pink
exists.
Donkeys, pink donkeys, right?
Oh, yeah.
So they need some lash from the Hell's Gate, the hot iron gate, so they'll get some sense. These people are so ridiculous. I understand the threat what the Prime Minister was saying about, and I fully understand. I agree with her to withdraw from any state parade or anything like that. Yes, but indeed. I want to highlight something.
Go ahead.
To the attention, to the borough of San Fernando. Mm-hmm. We as female workers, right? We finish work late in the evening.
Yes.
So there's a lot of us who wait at Library Corner on High Street for transportation.
Yes.
Now, I've been seeing the height in crime, and I saw recently on Ian Allen where this taxi driver was held for 2 attempts at robbery, and he was still pursuing for another crime. And this guy I knew when I was working at C3. Mm-hmm. And I used to travel with this guy during the day, during the night, not knowing he was a well-known criminal. Now, this brought my attention now. There's a lot of P-cars driving from San Fernando to Point, right? We don't know who we traveling it and what are their background, right? There are hardly any H cars that you can get going home at a certain time at night. My plight is, who in charge of the borough of San Fernando to allow the maxis and them, the big maxi, small maxi, from 6 p.m. that people could go home in these maxis in the night. We as female workers, single parent mother, our life has been threatened. Now, recently when I traveled, there was a security guard who worked with us. Mm-hmm. The man was kidnapped. They took him to Labby Cemetery 9-10 o'clock at the hour. It was a Christmas time, and he was robbed. What you expect a poor woman like me and other female workers working for this coming Christmas? What will happen to us? And crime is on the increase. So whoever in charge, if they could allow the maxis from 6 p.m. without police coming and harassing these maxis, that people could feel safe going home.
So let me ask you a question now. Is it that these maxis are not allowed at all at the present time, according to the present regulations?
No,
they're not allowed at that point. All right, okay. And you are saying that there should be some kind of adjustment where they
Yes.
are allowed after 6 o'clock, so that
They could be on the promenade.
congestion will be minimized, obviously, because
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the reasons I suppose they stop maxis from going into certain parts of the various, what I consider be towns in this
after
country,
6
because
p.m.,
policemen is
they
the same
will
thing.
not. They don't have much transportation in the night. So 6 p.m.
And-
is good hours
okay,
because
right,
there's
right.
a lot of us will just be stranded in the night sometime.
Yeah,
No
because the
peak hours.
regular taxi drivers, they close up shop, they make enough money for the day.
As 4 p.m.
Yeah, at around 4. I see that. So that seemed to be a reasonable request, especially as
Especially
you
for
said,
this
yeah.
Christmas time. See, from
Yeah.
now on to Christmas, yes, there's
Okay.
a lot of us will be stranded. At night, I reach home 10 to 1.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was not
because of the
getting
lack
nothing.
of.
I ended up paying
Yeah.
$25 to reach home just with library points.
Yes. I take note, and that is applicable to other parts of the country as well.
Yes,
but
I know
since-
the few maxis who work on evening, sometimes they just be 3, sometimes they be too big one, too small one. Allow them to compensate us to go home now because we don't know who we're traveling with. Because there's a lot of people who I see on Ian Allen who wanted does run PH.
Yes, my friend. Well, very good, and I know that it's not going to fall on deaf ears. I think the Minister of Transport, Mr. Eli Zaku, he, I'm sure, would be, at least his tentacles will be out, meaning that there will be persons who would be listening, and therefore, but I will make a personal intervention as well, just to make certain.
Because I know you
That-
guys
that's
are the warriors of Trinidad and Tobago. I always be there in the protest. We started the movement from St. Grandi
Yes.
with the Labby Posse.
Okay. Yes, man.
That's why I meant. And another issue is the 40 hours for workers who work at the small thing, the minimum wage should increase because what's made these taxi fees, though the taxi fee increases a certain hour in the night, yeah?
Oh, yeah. I would suspect that because of the
Because
scarcity,
after
you know,
8
when
from 9 o'clock,
when
you
demand
have to
increase,
it.
when demand increase, or when the demand is greater than supply, what you have is an increase in
supply,
price. So that is what is happening there. So there's a greater demand,
And there are
less
some of us,
people,
there
so
are some
people
of us workers.
exploit it. Yeah.
Yes, there are also some of us workers now. We are casual workers, right? I'm
Right.
talking on behalf of all casual workers. Casual workers work hard just as permanent workers.
Okay.
You understand? The double time on a Sunday is only go for permanent workers because casual workers not allowed. But if the law could change, because us casual workers work harder than permanent workers, and because permanent
And you don't
workers
mind
know the job is secure.
working any day of the week.
Yeah.
Once the compensation package, of course, is appropriate. I don't expect that if you're working on a Sunday or let's say a holiday,
Yeah.
that you're getting
The
the
workers
same
not feeling
daily
them
rate.
come to
You
work
must,
on, yeah.
you're triple
Because
or something like that.
is real
Yes.
bad. And you
Yes.
know the permanent workers are working for $30, $40 an hour. And workers, casual workers are working harder than the permanent workers.
Yes. Because you're
So compensate the casual worker now.
I hoping
Because
that.
people who do work hard.
Well, I know that one reason is to hope to be considered to be a permanent one. But when you get to permanency, as so many do, I expect that you will not, of course,
They'll
follow
be lackadaisical.
the pattern
They are
and
lackadaisical,
continue. Yeah, and continue with, of course, that
So the casual
industry.
worker does work harder just as a permanent worker. And I think we're entitled to the same double time on a Sunday as a permanent worker.
Yes, indeed. All right, thanks very much, of course, for that
It's
intervention.
very unfair.
Yes.
So minimum wage increase, make sure casual workers get their 40 hours and double time on a Sunday. Lennox, you guys are our warriors. I look forward to listening to you all. Very good program with Andy on the morning. You guys are battling these days.
I hear you, man. I hear you. But that's how it is. But people don't throw stone at green. Sometimes they throw it at green, no, but certainly a non-bearing tree. Well, they don't throw stone there at all. All right. Of course, it is important that we understand as I have, the philosophy of this government in terms of work. Decent work does not equate to contract work. That is the policy position of this government. The last administration under Rowley, and then, of course, ephemerally are talking about temporarily, very short-lived, are talking about Short Young, made it a point to proliferate, to saturate the public sector with contract work and therefore temporary work. And they put a freeze on the employment by the Public Service Commission. They put a freeze, no more employment. I got the impression in response to that position, the new position of the present government, that they will fill all vacancies. Let me just call her. Let me see if I have it. All right. Caller, you'll have to call back. I'm not getting you on the system, so I'll have to do something else in order to get you. Just excuse me. I forget to put this in. Just take out the mic for me, please. Put it on the side. Pass it through there, yes. Sorry about that, people, but you know, you could prepare as much as you can, but Murphy's Law usually steps in and disrupts things, meaning that if something has to go wrong, it will at the worst possible time. I know Mr. San Fernando is calling back, but let me continue with, of course, where we left off as far as decent work is concerned. Contract work is an abomination. It's an insult. That's the position of the present government. But the last government under Rowley, as I said, and temporarily that of Short Young, never saw it that way. They saw it as an opportunity to wield a big stick, to have people in a state not just of limbo, but in a state of anxiety and trepidation, fright, simply because they cannot calculate whether the government then would dismiss them because they would have been on month-to-month contracts. So anytime it could halt, anytime they could dismiss them. The present government stance is this. And from my understanding, those who have already been in the system as contract workers, it means therefore they would have been qualified to do that job before and on behalf of the public sector or the government. Let's go to the lines and let me just deal with that here. Let me see. Oh boy, what's happening here now? I know it's Mr. San Fernando. I'm seeing it coming up and then I'm seeing it cutting off. All right, good. Let's see it happening. President, good night. Welcome.
You're experiencing some freezing up there?
Yes, man. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I want to welcome you back to the area.
Yes. And we are a bit different. You'll see it unfolding as we go along, because we have a news segment and we have, of course, advertising segment for civil society institutions in particular. And then, of course, my son will be with me as well from time to time, treating with, of course, what I consider the very young issues. He's 10 years of age, incidentally, but when you see him, he may not look like that. I think you know him, so you would. Yeah, okay then. So go ahead.
But what I want to now the topic, or what is going on in the society today in Trinidad is very interesting. We are very interesting times, and the UNT itself have a lot to really do, right?
Yes.
In terms of the social, getting the social fabric of Trinidad and Tobago up and running, really. you know, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of money will be involved in pumping into it, but I only hope that we could pump the money in the right directions and not do like what the PNM has been doing.
Yes.
Right? But the thing is, there was a very healthy discussion last week on the ground report in terms of either the Emancipation Support Committee and stuff like that, and whether the government of Trinidad and Tobago should pump money or put money into the Emancipation Support Committee.
Yes.
To have the yearly festival. Some people.
But to be fair, of course, institutions like those. So it's not just the Emancipation, but of course that was highlighted because of its recentness and the quantum that would have been allocated to the, and the promises made by the Prime Minister to, of course, further deepen resource provision from the coffers of the state. Go ahead.
No, well, what I want to say about that is that if when you look at it, I really think that support should be coming from the government because what people were saying, some people, I mean, I'm not saying that Kafra Kambon is a saint, right? But some people are of the view that they are doing nothing for Trinidad and Tobago, which in my view is not really so.
All right.
You know, because this organization, if you look at it, is the only, well, I should say, the only organization that has really stood up for the African people in Trinidad.
Okay.
Because, I mean, there are others who stood the ground, but the Emancipation Support Committee lasted for well over 30 years or so, right? But the thing is, if we look at it as a very negative thing and say, okay, we're giving the government is giving Kafra Kambon money and what he's doing with it, they're seeing nothing for it. That I want to disagree with that because, you know, it takes a lot of work to bring the organization. It took a lot of work to bring the organization from where it was to where it is today, right? No, you understand? You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah. In fact, my response to you, when you finish my response, you will be, of course, very pleased because that's my thinking as well. But go ahead.
So you know, I want to go down a road that what the PNM government was doing. I mean, you said it on several occasions because when you look at even, let's take the reparations issue, so Hillary Beckles, reparations was, he talked a lot about reparations and stuff like that. And I think he had some, there was an issue where he had gotten reparations for Trinidad and the PNM was playing games with it in terms of bringing back money to educate the students here in the University of the West Indies. And what we got from the PNM, you yourself said it, was a mediocre kind of thing was going on, you know, and if reparations is to be paid, what would they do with the money? You know, so, you know, so I'm saying now, let me just go down. I heard one caller, I don't want to call names to say, well, bash anybody, but I heard one caller said that 10 or 12 years ago he had asked Cameron a question, and the question was, what about having a school? And Cameron's response was that we are not ready as yet.
Having a what? What was the suggestion?
The question was, the caller said that 10 years ago, he had asked, 10 or 12 years ago, he had asked Cameron a question.
Okay.
And the question was, what about building a school for African studies and African people?
Okay.
Right? And Kafra Cameron's response was, we were not ready as yet.
All right.
Right? So, and in my views, Cambon, even though, as I said before, I don't think he's a saint. He's not a saint. But in my view, people have taken that as a negative thing. Because it is not negative. We were really not ready yet. So the society itself, if we look to pump money into it, right? If we are not ready, then how would we go forward? You understand? So I think the school will come. That school will come because, you know, I have gone to most. What people don't know is that I have gone to most of the meetings in Bergerac House, where either we were being taught certain things in terms of business, writing up proposals, how to write up proposals for business and all that, you know. That's what people don't know, right? So, you know, some people just bumping the gum about the negative aspects of the thing, but you know, there is positives in this. And if we make the mistake, the PNM don't want people like this emancipation support people around really, you know. Africa know that, you know. So you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, so I want to express even, you know, African history and stuff like that is very interesting, right? And, you know, and what is going on in Trinidad, we need more of, like, I would say, you know, a euphoria that is happening, but we need positive and we need productive citizens who will come out and really do for our African studies and our African diaspora. You know, when you have square pegs in round holes,
Yes.
right? For like in the last government, that is the sort of thing that you will get. So PNM is playing on every negative thing that they could get to play on.
Yes.
And if they could play on an issue like putting the Emancipation Support Committee in a negative way, now that UNC is in power, you know, according to you, if you say take away the funding and everything from the Emancipation Support Committee, we will it could send this place into chaos.
That's
take
right.
away the carnival and all of that.
Yes.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, you know, but I know I've been talking long for the last 2 or 3 minutes, but, you know, this is where I would like to go with this topic. We have to look at it as a positive means, because right now, Trinidad and Tobago is on a key, and the whole world is turning around.
Mr. Sanford, just hold on. Mr. San Fernando is winding up his contribution.
Okay, Lennox.
There's so much that I would like to say
Yes.
concerning that with the reparations.
All right, no problem. You can call back and, of course, give us it in anecdotes. We don't want to slip away nor in any way lose the essence of what you are saying, because these contributions are crucial. I have a view on that matter as well that I have expressed on the ground report, and I will, of course, use the opportunity on the corridor to, of course, express it. That being as it may, let us get our external correspondence. We like to call her that. External correspondent, Miss Santa Cruz. A pleasant good night, Miss Santa Cruz.
A pleasant good night to you,
And
Lennox.
happy belated independence as well.
Same to you and same to everybody out there. Lennox, you have been missed. You have been missed. Every night people text me, Lennox on, Lennox on. I say, well, he kept putting up notices from the 25th, then the 1st or whatever. Let's see what's going on. Lennox, it's really, really nice to have you back.
Yes.
Yes, and let's hope all the you got everything sorted out, you know, and we won't have these problems again. But you know how it is, Lennox.
Yes,
you know, you must have.
We are only human,
Lennox
and the technology and the
this is it. And
finances, all
anything
of
that can happen will happen.
That's right, exactly.
Anything that can happen is going to happen. And Lennox, tonight I want to extend condolences to the family of Alan Karim,
Yes.
right? And also to the UNC family.
You know, this was a shocker that Alan passed away.
Yes.
Alan and I were very good friends every night.
Okay.
Well, not every night, but almost every night we would chat.
All right.
You know, long chats we would have, and so, you know, always, well, you know, political, you know.
Yes.
And one thing I must say, Lennox, anytime that I ask him for information, Alan will always tell it, that I found myself in a quandary yesterday, trying to get some information, and, you know, I take up the phone to call Alan, and then I remembered, you know, how I felt, Lennox, to see that, you know, I can't reach out to this person again.
Okay.
You know, it was really, really heartbreaking. But I'd like to extend condolences to the family and to say that eternal rest granted to him, O Lord, and let the perpetual light shine upon him, and may he rest in peace as he begins his spiritual journey.
Amen and amen.
Lennox,
Yes,
and the hypocrisy continues with weak belly Penny. Penny is shocked. Penny is shocked that Kamala didn't attend the prayers that she called for. I didn't know Kamala said she was going to that prayer that they had. Kamala called for everybody to have it in your own areas or whatever. Why? And you see again, the PNM media and the mischief, right? Coming to cause culture and bacchanal and commerce. That Kamala didn't attend the thing. She was probably attended because you know right now, Lennox, the Hindu festival of Lord Ganesh, I would call it his birthday, is going on.
Yes.
All that is prayers. All that is prayers. She never said, look, we're going to gather in one place, or we're going to gather here to have this prayers. That all is so disappointed that she didn't show up. I tell you, they're really looking for news, Lennox.
And let me make an intervention here, because she too, Penny, did not show up, eh?
Exactly.
She too, Penny, did not show up. But somehow,
they were
she has projected that her showing up is irrelevant, but of course the Prime Minister showing up is relevant, and therefore making the most asinine, continuous asinine of statements that I've ever heard. You didn't show up, but you criticize the Prime Minister for not showing up. You being head of the opposition, but more than that, to a function that while it would have been hosted by the IRO, the interreligious organization, it doesn't mean that all of the religious groups would have assembled there.
Exactly.
Not all. They would have gone on to, of course, ascribe it to the Prime Minister's and the government wishes of keeping their prayers in their private and or community, or in their special way, not having to go in such a public, let's say, function. So come on. That is nonsense, but it wants to stop something. Something I would mention after, but go ahead. Because, I mean, it's totally nonsense. Shut your damn mouth. That is what you have to do, because there is no need for that. You didn't attend. You too was invited. You didn't attend. But you want somebody who choose not to attend as well to have attended. I mean, come on. What kind of madness is this? But go ahead.
She's so shocked. And the next thing, Lennox, right? I said two things. I sent you some reading material.
Okay.
Lennox, very, very interested. PNM corruption again, as exposed by Ken Ali. Take a read, Lennox. Very interested. And another thing, okay, she made a video with asking all who want Imba to come back. Oh, people missing Imba, and people want Imba to come back. But Penny forget.
Who want Imba to come back? Well, the first
said people want
I am in the media, and I the first time I'm hearing of that, of some insane individual wanting to what? To let Imba return for what?
Yeah.
For further disaster and mayhem. Go ahead.
But like she forget. You see how she insulted the people of this country? You see,
Yes.
she forget that Stuart Young did not even want him. Because when Stuart Young, the one day Prime Minister, he kicked him out of the Padan Ball. They moved him out of the Padan Ball.
She forgot
The
that.
man watches in our faces
Convenient
and laugh
amnesia.
at us.
Convenient amnesia.
Yes, he watches in our face and laugh at us. He threatens us with the property tax, among other things. He take away our NIS increase, right? Look at how much thing, and you come in to say people want back Imbot, people missing Imbot. Madam, just as how nobody missing you, nobody missing Imbot. And I will end dear Lennox. Lennox, you take care and have a good night.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
it was nice having you back. Take care.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Of course, that was our external correspondent, Ms. Santa Cruz. She's known by, that's a sobriquet. And I can tell you, of course, a tower of power. And indeed, of course, true advocate, because she is a patriot, true advocate for decency, for transparency, for accountability, for good governance, and indeed for the eradication of corruption, as you heard her in her closing remarks on tonight's program. Let me just extrapolate a few issues that would have been made by, of course, the callers that would have taken the opportunity. And I want to say, of course, the line is open, 337-6940. Don't forget, of course, we are here at the Corridor Transformation from 8 to 9:30. Indeed, of course, Monday to, well, not Monday, Sunday, I should say. Sunday to Friday, and then, of course, after that, we have Saturday as well. So let's say Saturday to Thursday, and therefore, the cycle will continue, Saturday to Thursday, Saturday to Thursday, Saturday to Thursday. Yes, we're going to be on almost every night. As some say, of course, it's 8 days a week, even though, of course, the week has 7 days. But that being as it may, let me also take this opportunity to thank all of the persons who would have made contributions to our Back to School program. I want to say, while we had over 1,000 persons, but not all of them in back to school scenarios. But we had, I'm going to talk a little more about that after we deal with this caller. Let me deal with this caller. Yes, indeed, let me deal with this caller. Hold on, caller. Try to get the adjustment here. We're going try not to get the phone up to the mic. So you will forgive me on my phone. Sometimes this happens. I'm sure that he's still there. Right, good. Let's get it going. All right, a pleasant good night, Mr. Tagarigua. Tagarigua is on the line. A pleasant good night. A pleasant good night. No, I forget. It's just that I have been absent for so long that sometimes, of course, you have these Freudian slip mistake. All right, yes. Yeah. A break beach. All right. I hear you. Yes.
I could believe what I'm already talking.
Who is that person? Rohan Sinan. The cry baby. If you see his face, his face look as though, you know, and looking like I don't want to use a human term, so I could say it looked like turtle when they are in the process. It looked like a painful experience when they, of course, are laying their eggs in these burrows that they would normally generate on the beaches in this country and farther afield. But go ahead. They look like they're crying. Well, that's how his face was looking. Go ahead.
And imagine he had a goal to talk about. He hoped the government put something in place to take care of the drivers on the roads. I mean, you can imagine that, look.
To take care of the what? Of the drivers on the road?
Yeah, with all the accidents that taking place.
Yeah, I think, as I said, these fellas are in a state of cognitive and intellectual decline. They are simply in a state of manic depressive psychosis. They are totally absent of reality. That's what. Yeah.
You know when it's drive on the road, he drop the cocaine and he look him over. Where I drop it.
No. I mean, you have to go to the ridiculous to describe these people who clearly not only, as Penny said, would have lost their way, but they have not found it, so they continue to be lost.
But then like them will remain lost forever.
Including Penny.
Yes.
Because it's the institution, she say, that would have lost its way, and therefore the institution would have been an amalgam of these individuals who in turn would have been the operatives that would have caused that blinder to be placed on all of them, and therefore losing their way. But go ahead.
Them could easily end up in the man's house all of them, I tell you.
Yeah, you mentioned that. I waited for that day because I make too much prediction already that came to pass. So I will pass on this one, and I will of course endorse yours because I say that they will call election early. I say that of course the gods cause them to talk and to reveal their nastiness. In other words, who the gods wish to destroy, they first send them mad. We have said that. And they have gone mad during the elections and before the elections. And of course, corruption, nepotism, and cronyism has become the hallmark of the PNM, having regard, of course, to the Balizé House monstrosity of steel, brick, and concrete. With the blood money of Trinidad and Tobago was expended there. But we will talk about that a little more later. Go ahead.
I couldn't believe I see this man talking that crap on the TV.
Repeat it again what he said.
He said that he hopes the government will put something in place to keep drivers safe on the roads. This is the man who match up on the roads to
but not only that, he said that the wire or the cable barriers was too expensive, so he will put things that are much more resilient, much more durable. So when you bounce it, you crash and you can't go across or stay in the median because of the lack of the elasticity or the slingshot nature of the cable. so he don't know that it may well be that he has contributed to whatever he perceived to be an increase or decrease, as the case may be, in of course accidents on the nation's roads.
Them cables is universally accepted by.
Of course.
So
but don't tell he that. That is the man.
Yeah?
That is the man who say that the moon came closer to the earth, and therefore the sea rise, and the road, the Manzilla road washed away as a consequence. That's what he said.
Yes, boy.
Yeah, so what you do?
Of
course, I can't forget them things. That thing is indelibly implanted because of the level of stupidity it is that you could only remember, and of course everybody does, when you talk about Larry Joseph and the other comedians that have graced the stages, but for comedian purposes. Well, these fellas grace the political stage for dishonorable purposes. Total nincompoops. Go ahead.
Tell people that you'll have to remove them from your room.
You lucky.
I did ask you to where we live. Don't give a you or what?
Yeah, you lucky he didn't ask people to relocate.
Well, is that what you were talking?
Huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Come out of your room.
What shapes?
Somebody must be pick up a phone and say, watch me, don't play for your backside, Because you like have millions of dollars invested in it.
Well,
and
wow.
And he stopped that talk.
Well.
Right? Well, you pay by the Lennox.
Well, he must be got a bad injection, man. I'm sure that he had to take some medication after that huge loss. He being, of course, campaign manager.
But he come like Terry, be Terry, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
individual one by double school. Come on. Why I did before go?
Yes, yes.
And she cook make you make a set of noise on the chicken tape tonight.
Wow.
Because somebody said that so Grantley Adams was the first Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Who told that, boy?
Wow.
Grantley Adams.
Yeah.
Who told that? It had to be a PNM backside that told that. Remember Sir Grantley Adams, right?
Yes, 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 yes. Was he from Barbados or?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, Barbados. Yeah.
And somebody said he was the first Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. It had to be similar to one of them. It had to be a PNM that told that crap, Lennox.
Well, yeah, but you know, the uninformed, misinformed, and those who would like to get credit
I feel as though
in a situation where they have contributed nothing.
I feel as though opposition with MP. They want so mad if you want them to talk that.
All right.
They expect anything with them, you know.
Yeah, because of the insanity that seemed to be very well entrenched among those mad people, the 12 plus 1.
12 plus 1.
Among others.
But they could say 11 plus 2. Well, at least it's good to have you back on, and I hope tomorrow you're coming back on too.
Yeah. I think it's the first of a continuation of where we left off on the last occasion. All right? With a little more dynamism. Yes.
And you're coming on the Go report tomorrow.
Oh, yes, definitely.
All right, boys,
Yes. All right. The other issue that I want to arrest, and of course, consistent with another caller that called already tonight, is that of the argument that there should be a discontinuation by the state for entities that are non-governmental, meaning that they are of the civil society nature, and to say categorically as a preface, as a prelude to my own position, as I said and fervently kept faith with on the ground report. Of course, Andy came the following day and of course unilaterally spew his position on the matter, meaning that there should be a discontinuation. Yes, so I want to say categorically once again that whether it be the National Sporting Group, whether it be the Emancipation Support Committee, that is a national entity obviously, or whether it be the Ark of the Covenant, not the Ark of the Covenant, but the Shouter Baptist elders of Trinidad and Tobago, or whether it be cyclists or the national entity is responsible for cycling as a sport in this country and across the board. I want to say this, and of course we cannot leave out the national entity that is responsible for steel band, calypso, soca, mass, etc. I want to make it clear, because it makes no sense attempting, of course, to compromise when you know better, when you know what obtains, and you do not correct. You see, all of these entities that have acquired national status and recognition for one reason or another, but operates at the level of civil society or non-governmental. A government, any government in this country, if these entities, first and foremost, did not exist, would have had to do the work that they are doing. Let me repeat. I say to you that those entities of a national ilk, national flavor, a national propensity, the work that they are doing in the society in their respective fields, the government would have had to do it. And I want to say this as well, that, and I was very, let's say, taken, I was very much absorbed by the argument made by former Attorney General Ramesh Lawrence Maraj when he was, of course, giving a public and very spirited argument as to the level of management in a society such as Trinidad and Tobago. And I remembered very distinctly, and that was the basis on which I was very adamant about, of course, the impossibility of any government not or deciding to defund these entities that are part and parcel and a very intrinsic part of the socio-economic and psycho-cultural makeup of Trinidad and Tobago. Let me repeat, these entities are crucial parts, whether it be the trade union movement, even though, of course, because of their nature, they do not normally seek government funding because of their nature. But every other, whether they are of a religious nature, whether they are of a cultural nature, whether they are of a sporting nature, whether they are of a medical nature, whether they are of an intellectual or educational nature, every other depend on the government. Or put another way, the government has an obligation to treat with them. Why? Once again, because if they did not exist, the government would have had the responsibility. And I want to add that they are doing it in spite of the concerns as to the quantum of monies that are being provided to them. The fact of the matter is that they are doing it cheaper, let me repeat, more economically than that of the government. If the government had to deal with those sports entities that have to cater for preparing our athletes for Carifta games and for regional games, whether it's cricket, etc., and across the athletic field, whether it be athletics per se, whether it be swimming, whether it be boxing, etc., the government would have had that responsibility, and you know, and what? They would have to pay those same specialists. You know what I say? I say they would have to pay those same specialists who have amalgamated themselves into independent entity so as to assist the nation, and therefore the government, by doing it much more economical and much more efficacious. Because they know the government would have had to, in the case of Olympics, they would have had, of course, to join the Olympics committee. They would have had, of course, to find the resources. They'll have to find the people, of course, to go to the various games. They'll have to have a domestic, of course, program to sift out the amount of athletes that could qualify to end up, of course, on the world stage, so to speak. That is what we are talking about. So I want people to inculcate. It is not by accident that I'm talking that way, because I am talking from a position, as I said on the ground report, of knowledge, of understanding, of experience. And experience is the best teacher in spite of the academia that one may be subjected to. But I want to tell you that it was Ramesh Lawrence Mirage, I think, who has put this situation in perspective, even though I didn't believe that I would have had to come today and speak about the matter. But because it was a big issue on the ground report, I thought, of course, we need to put. So in spite of the what I consider to be the ad hominem talk, in spite of the unesoteric talk, unesoteric means that they don't know, just vike, talking in a vacuum, very vacuous. The fact of the matter is, not that I'm calling Andy those descriptions, but I'm talking here generally, because of my colleagues, I don't want to ascribe that to him. But the fact in any specific way, but the fact of the matter is that it was Ramesh Mirage who talked about primary power, secondary power, and tertiary power. What does that mean? It meant that the government, the cabinet, the people who have to make the decision on our behalf, the executive, in other words, not the opposition, the executive, even though the opposition is part and parcel of that process, but to a vastly lesser degree, because they are emasculated simply because they do not and cannot control the treasury of the country and say who must eat, in other words, and who must not eat. So you have primary power, and that is derived from what? From an election. We just had one on the 28th of April. Primary power. But you have people in the society who wield power as well, but not in the same process as that of those who wield primary power. Understand that? Because they don't make laws, they don't have foreign policy, they don't decide the fiscal and the economic direction of the state. They don't. But they have power too, because they share in this democracy called Trinidad and Tobago. And I am referring to, of course, to these very organizations that have been created, whether it be the National Football Association, whether it be the church organization, whether it be, I'm talking here, whether it be the IRO or other splinter entities who decide not to be part of or have not been invited to participate. The fact is that they hold power too. Understand that. So too is the Calypsonian Association. So too is the Steel Band Association. So too is the Mass Bands Association. All of them are engaged in secondary power. So quite apart from the fact that the government cannot obviously do it alone, and the fact that there are these entities that have evolved over the years to focus on specific aspects of the society for its smooth operation and interaction, not just within, but outside of our borders, it will be impossible for the government to simply say they're not going to fund these entities. Impossible. And the invitation, as I've said on the last occasion, of mayhem, chaos, and a revolt because of their revulsion, I mean, it's unfathomable, cannot be contemplated, cannot be assessed. No, It is so significant, people. So please, let those who are unaware, the unesoteric, talk. Let them talk. But don't be sucked in by something that is not just osseous, irrelevant, but more specifically specious, meaning that it sounds good, but can't work. What you want to exhaust all the mental and intellectual, what I consider currency on, for what? It makes no sense. It's just something to be said. And some people will say, all right, okay. But there is no validity to it. There is no practicality to it. There is no gravitation to it, because it is simply impossible. They are part and parcel of the management of the society, just as the government that has primary responsibility, according to Ramesh Maharaj. So let us disabuse that one time, because we are talking about the 63rd anniversary of our independence. And to engage in what I consider to be frivolous and, of course, potentially dangerous talk is unnecessary. Unnecessary. All right? So I think so those of you who are listening at this point in time, or will be listening, when you get on the ground report, if Andy still remains in that bubble, so to speak, well, let him stay there. But you know very well that is impossible. The intricate and the interwoven nature of these entities into the national fabric and the crafting of who a Trinbagonian is. It's part and parcel of the efforts of these entities, you know. Yeah. When an athlete goes out there, he not only represents Trinidad and Tobago, and of course the entity, but the entity that would have caused him to be there. And he carries with him, as a member of the society, he or she, those values, those norms, those cultural, what I consider practices. Yeah. Across the board. And it is relevant, or it is associated with, or it is for the religious entities as it is for the sporting, cultural, medical and health, agricultural, and indeed the labor, via of course the labor union and so on. It's Trinidad and Tobago, and when you break it down, they are representing, of course, anybody that goes out there, not just the labor union, but of course the fabric, the physical, psychological, mental, attitudinal and cultural norms. Practice developed in Trinidad and Tobago as citizens born here, or whether you're born or you acquired citizenship, it doesn't matter, but you would acclimatize. So I thought it was important, of course, to spend some time on that. What the time we have now? Boy, the time seems to be flying, boy. Let me see what's the time. I'm going to take off my glasses because I want to make sure. 28 minutes have passed, so we just have 2 more minutes. So, of course, if you want to call, you can call. But I thought it was important. Tomorrow night, I'll see if I get my son to be here with me, so we'll ask him some questions. Because he went to the library yesterday, and I wanted, of course, to have him read at least a paragraph or two of the book that he got from the library. So I'm going to have him here, but I'm not going to tell him what I'm going to ask him or what he is to do, so that, of course, other young people who are viewing, and I expect, of course, to gravitate, will see, of course, it's only natural to make mistakes. But, of course, we'll correct it one time on the program so that it is all right to venture. It's all right to be wrong. Because by being wrong, one expects that you would learn ultimately what is right and therefore practice. In other words, education is about moving from the known to the unknown. I always make that definition. I always make that philosophical projection. And I always say that at one time when I was teaching at Piccadilly, for example, not too far from here, I would tell them at one time, you know where home is, you know the neighborhood, etc. So that's the known. But you would have moved to the unknown. You came to school, but when you came to school, you didn't know where Piccadilly was. But over time, it became part and parcel of your intellectual experience and your what I consider to be personal experience. And so it is compiled on top of the fact that at one time you only knew home, and then of course and now you know school, and when you go to the next school you would not know where that school is in the initial state, but then you would become acclimatized, and then of course knowledge piles or builds upon each other. And eventually you become, of course, the citizen that all of us would like each and every one of our young people to be: educated, conscious, technologically savvy, especially information technology savvy, being able to use the devices as if it is second nature, law-abiding, clearly, very congenial and cooperative, and extremely industrious. Want to work for a fair day's pay. And even in circumstances where the day's pay may not be fair, but because what you get is to put food on the table, and because you cannot, of course, or you have not yet found some additional or better option, you remain right there. Plan, think, get the experience, and then move out. And we will be talking more of that. We'll be talking more of issues like that. You see, because I'm satisfied that the present government is on the right track. The extent to which, of course, and the speed with which we arrive at that point where we have the preferred citizen of all of our young people would depend on the extent to which there is not just unanimity and understanding, but the efficaciousness with which every single ministry do their part to address what clearly is the morass and the tidal wave of disappointment and pessimism with an uncertain future that the 9 years of the PNM had reposed had imbued, have saturated the population, particularly those in the more depressed, downtrodden, underprivileged, and indeed, people who have been so beaten into submission and accepting the quagmire that they have found themselves in. That the gravitation to crime and criminality, whether consciously or unconsciously, whether advertently or inadvertently, whether by serendipity or by, of course, some other devilish or Luciferian plague, they have gravitated to or contemplated about. Those of us who are in the know, those of us who have been experiencing it, must be able to come to the fore and exhibit our prowess. Only this morning, but it happened yesterday, I wrote by way of WhatsApp a note to the present Minister of the People and Social Development. You see, I had to. And you will understand why and appreciate. You see, after the 28th of April, and having acquired this building where we are in right now, where of course we consider to be our empowerment and resource center, and you would have seen, of course, Philip Alexander cut ribbon to, of course, open one phase of the activities of the building that will occur in the building. You would see that we had already interacted with the Ministry of Labor, the Minister of Labor, looking at, and of course we are yet to get a response, but we will get it eventually. Organize a memorandum to look at employment opportunities across the board, whether it be a scavenger, whether it be a seamstress, whether it be a nail expert, talking about, of course, those persons who are engaged in these beauty culture, so to speak. That's the term we use in our training facility. They call it manicure and pedicure and so on. Weaving of hair and so on. But whether you want to be a doctor, whether you want to be a nurse, etc. But of course, in these parts, we are not going to go there because there are ample mechanism for a doctor to get work and nurses and so on. What we are dealing with is those who are below that level, but want to put food on the table. Don't want their sons and daughters to get involved in activities that will not bring an unwanted child. But of course, that having been, then of course you have to look for resources to feed that child and end up, of course, in the hands of the police. Alexander is correct. If it is that you are so engaged, then your address will change from Eastport to Spain, Beetham, Sealets, etc., to the cemetery. That's not waste time. That's a fact. Yes, indeed. That's not waste time. So, what we have to do, all of us, is to be conscious and to do what is required in order to save our community. Let me just take this call. This will be the final call. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Yeah, boy,
Go ahead.
I should be calling before you go.
Yes.
This morning, here, I'm trying to involve me in that.
Uh-huh.
Why think about the government putting off the independence, the parade and all that?
Yes.
I say something like that. police and everybody, they have information that I don't have access to. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say nothing. And I live in my logic. I don't speculate, so me and speculating on that.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked all day.
All right.
That's all.
Repeat that again for them.
A PNM man, he asked me why think about it because of the Independence Day parade.
Yes.
Actually, the government and his security forces have information that I don't have access to.
Yeah.
So I can't put up an argument against them.
Right.
And the argument I put up against them, I will be speculated. And I don't do that. I live in my logic.
Right.
So speculation is out of the question.
Right.
You don't find that the best thing I did.
Of course, because you could do nothing about it anyway.
Exactly.
Full stop. Right. All right.
So why you going to say
That's right.
I have no information about that?
Of course, there are those, and this is a democracy, so I want to say at the same time, there are those who would give an opinion that may be contrary to, or in support of, or just halfway, inchoate, between both, hybrid. But the fact is that we could do nothing about it, whether you have an opinion on it different to what the government has said. Full stop.
Yeah,
so we have to go with what the government says. All right.
So before that, I need to some kind of
Yes, man.
political argument. I say that you best switch on the conversation.
Yes, man. All right.
Right?
Yes, man.
I know you're not like me when you're university. I thought you would talk.
He had done with that. Yes, that's right.
Yeah. All right, boy.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay, then. Thanks very much. Of course, that's the end of our program tonight. Let me just say, of course, we still continue with our back-to-school drive. As I was saying, of course, I sent a letter to the minister with respect to food cards. I want to tell you, between the 29th of April and now, we have over 1,000 persons registered here at our Empowerment and Resource Center. So, about 400 of them required. They have telephone numbers, names, address, etc. And I sent it to her, of course. She sent me back a note saying that, of course, she will be in contact to look at it, because I made certain recommendations as well as to how to treat with that, because let's face it, the PNM will, of course, attempt to capitalize on what they say is the disastrous state of affairs for those persons who depended on URP and CPEP and so on and so forth. Of course, they have a bleeding heart. We know it's hypocrisy, and we know it's political grandstanding and opportunism, but that being as it may, we should not be daunted. And it is not because of responding to that. It's because the UNC is humane, the UNC is considerate. Thus, of course, persons like myself are there creating, of course, such an institution so as to deliver these resources to the people once the ministry can. So we act as a liaison, we act as a go-between. So I've asked, of course, the minister, okay, you can't send 400 persons across to the ministry or in any department. You will overwhelm the staff and, of course, intimidate them, because whether it's food card, whether it be other grants, etc., that they would be applying for. So what you do, where you have a mass group of persons like this, as I've recommended, you send an officer to do the processing in the community. It's common sense. So, of course, that is what she said that she will be looking at based on my recommendation. And that's just one of several. So I just want to let you know that it is just a matter of time. And, of course, when would you determine that the government is fully functional? Well, it is obvious. When they would have gotten all their boards and the various institutions that are responsible for delivering to the population, then you can now safely say that the government is fully entrenched, and that therefore any what I consider to be issue that may be defective, or any issue that may be dysfunctional in your view, and in fact was or is, then of course you can now make you have the authority now to make the complaints. And I expect that will happen, because we need to get every single member of the team fully functional, up and running. If you have 4 pistons, I expect all pistons to be operated. If you have 6, a bigger vehicle, bigger engine, I expect all 6 to be functioning. That's how it is. And those who cannot function, well, the Prime Minister said it in no uncertain terms. And then, of course, you either volunteer or you will be caused to effect your departure. Full stop. And there may be those, of course, waiting in the wings who are more capable, that may have been overlooked. You never could tell. But of course, these vacancies have a way of causing the true efficacious, deliberate, and industrious, and non-indolent, non-lazy to come to the fore. So, people have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And don't forget, once again, we continue with our book drive. I want to thank, of course, Philip Alexander for providing a small but important, of course, set of bags and books and groceries and so on. I want to thank him because I understand that he did it on his own volition. This is how we are doing. But of course, I want to say that the numbers he has to take care of, we have far more than that, because we are in the community, rubbing shoulders with the community, and therefore we are more accurate, and therefore there will be greater demands on us. True demands, because we do our own evaluation. And I can tell you, the needs are real. So from 400 when he cut the ribbon for the facility to over 1,000 and counting. We have gotten, of course, some assistance to be, but of course it's there from URP, and when CPEP and other entities will be resuming in whatever form or fashion, we will be, of course, there to participate and to assist in the delivery process, particularly around places like these. And I want to say, not because the UNC didn't win, that we must ignore. That will be fatalistic as well. And I want to also say that because the UNC did not win in East Port of Spain and Laventil and so on, I want the people to understand that do not be surprised if you are put on the back burner in terms of delivery, because clearly Labre and Point Fortin, for example, you can't vex with them if they are served first with limited resources. That's the point I want to make. Don't vex. Be tolerant, because eventually people like myself will never see you go without being taken care of ultimately. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. Don't forget, of course, the other number. We'll put it up. We'll put up another number tomorrow, but that number is 336-6594. Sorry, 6594. 6594. Tomorrow night we will add it to the green band that you're seeing streaming across your screen in front of me. Of course, I had some other things to talk about, and we'll talk about it tomorrow, about independence, of course, Capildeo, Eric Williams, of course, and what has happened down the road, and make the comparison with, of course, the Vipers, that would have been the PNM under Rowley and Stuart Young, and of course this crop of 12+1, and the iniquities, totally incongruent, totally contradictory to what was said by Eric Wheeler, even though he himself turned out to be a betrayer. But the fundamental principles are still there. And it will take Kamala Prasad Bissesa, the UNC, and of course the coalition of interests to revert back to those fundamental principles, not just in thought, but also in action. Have a wonderful rest of the night. Of course, I will not hesitate to continue, of course, my closing preference. Today being, of course, close to Sunday. It's not Sunday, but close to Sunday. Let me take this call before we go. Wow. Let me take this call before we go. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Lennox.
Yes.
Your brother
Hey.
Khalid.
Yes, Khalid, yes. How are you going, doctor?
I'm good. I've been trying to get you, man.
Sorry about that, boy, but it has been frenetic. It has been absorbing. And, of course, it takes away from things that I would prefer to include in my daily routine. But a day only has 24 hours. I'm not Dylan. I'm saying that Rowley works more than 24 hours. So tell me.
All right. First, you get any word on my thing?
Yes. I asked Archbishop Burke to assist me with that because of her experience. So I will be pursuing it this week because she is putting something in for her daughter. So I asked her to, because she's already inside, to check up on that for me, please. I am convinced, I have no reason to doubt that she will be assisting in that regard.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, right now, I'm finishing up some dental work. So
Okay.
I should be home by October. Like
All right, my
October.
friend. The Sunday morning program miss you, man. So we will revert to that
Yes.
when you return.
Well, when I come back for sure, you know.
Yes, definite. All right, my friend.
All right.
Okay, thanks very much for
so
calling.
yeah, man. So you take
Yes.
care.
Okay, bye bye.
Yeah.
Boy, sorry about that. I'm sure that he wanted to say something more. But that being as I mean, let me go to the to what I consider to be the national anthem of this program when it coming to, of course, a Sunday. But I consider today to be a Sunday because of the holiday nature of it. Today is in effect Monday. It's in effect Monday, but let us end with the holiest of holy, as far as I'm concerned. And of course, you can put it in your own nature and your own, of course, religious prism. And let me just get that, and then we will conclude here. Where are you? You're trying to evade me because I didn't prepare? Well, I'm going to get you. Where is it? They're trying to, they want to delay me to go to 11 o'clock. No, I'm not going to 11 o'clock. I'm not going to 10 o'clock. I'm not even going to 10 o'clock. So, let me see if I get it. Let me get it. Why I'm not getting it now? Why? I didn't put it out for playing tonight. That's why, but doesn't mean that. Oh, yes. Here we are. Yes. Let's go. Yes, indeed. Of course, have a wonderful rest of the night, people, of course, and enjoy.